New Aphotic Realm announcement. Submission windows for upcoming issues. Issue 10, the theme is justice. That's hard-boiled fiction with a supernatural twist. The deadline for that will be April 1st, 2020. Issue 11, the theme is kaiju, giant monsters terrorizing civilization. Deadline will be October 1st, 2020 for those stories. Issue 12, the theme is lycanthropy, which is, of course, self-explanatory. It can be any type of animorph with a bloody twist. So I guess that's werewolves and giant, I don't know. What do people turn into? Seals? I've just got a little seal on my desk, so I thought of that. I don't know. You'll have to be more imaginative than I just was. But the deadline for lycanthropy, January 1st, 2021. Good luck to everyone submitting.
I wrote this thing. I hope you like it. Let's talk about it, yeah. Let's lose track. Losing the Plot Podcast. Losing the Plot Podcast. Losing the Plot Podcast. Talking to Leo.
My guest this episode is Philip LoPresti, the author most recently of The Things We Bury, out now with NihilismRevised. We had a great chat, and I really appreciated the chance to learn more about what inspired this work out of Phil. If you are a reader, writer, editor, any kind of creative who wants to be on the show, if you want to tell me anything about the show, you can always get in touch with me using losingtheplotpodcast-at-gmail-dot-com, and I look forward to hearing from you. But that's all my intro chat, so here is my chat with Phil. What time is it where you are?
It is currently 3 in the afternoon.
3 in the afternoon. Where is it that you are?
I'm in New York. I'm upstate New York.
Cool. Is that where you're from?
I'm originally from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I live about 2 hours from New York City, where I currently am.
That's pretty cool. What do you do in New York City?
I mean, what do I do in New York City? I don't do anything there. I don't go back there very, very much anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm upstate, so very rural here.
Mm-hmm. Are you indoors as much as everyone else at the moment?
I am not, unfortunately.
Okay.
My job is, I guess, deemed essential, so I'm out. I work all week, and so nothing's changed for me much. And I'm sort of jealous of everyone. I see everyone posting on Facebook all the things they're getting to do while they're not working, but
yeah.
All the writing they're getting done, or all the binge watching they're doing.
Yeah, it's true. I am. I'm working from home these days, and I just some people are like, "Oh, Leo, is your video not working?" I'm like, "Do you want to look at me in my pajamas?" No.
Yeah. Right.
What kind of an idiot would not be wearing pajamas all day now that they've been given the chance? You know, what's up with you guys?
Yeah, so. It's like law now. It's like, oh, just stay in your pajamas, don't leave the house.
Yeah, exactly. I wake up about 2 minutes before I'm supposed to be at work, and then I just open my laptop.
That sounds so great, though. I mean, it's good because I know there's a lot of people I know personally that they can't work from home, so like their jobs are just not. They're just not working, so they're not making money.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, fortunately, I'm still working, so I mean, because you need money to live, but
yeah.
At the same time, I'm like, shit, man, I could be like working on so much writing, or reading, catching up on reading, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There will be a lot of writers at home doing nothing, I mean.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll look back when it's all said and done. When it's all over, they'll be like, I should have been writing that whole time.
Yeah.
But
Are you working on something at the moment?
I am. I'm up, and I'm up. I work. I do like maintenance work for a gated community of. I want to say, I mean, they're rich, so I'm up every day at 5 just to write before I can go to work.
Wow.
So, yeah, I write every morning usually. So, and I'm currently working on a new novella. So,
a new novella, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm just like all the extra time I could have writing, but I'm still up at 5 doing the writing thing. I usually write for about an hour before I start getting ready to go to work, and then I do the work thing, and then I come home, and sometimes I'll edit what I wrote that morning, or so. It's going a little slow right now, but I'm almost at the midway point with it. So hopefully usually when I get to the midway point of something, that's when it starts to take off for me.
Yeah.
It usually takes a while for me to get my footing when writing like a story. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like if you once you put in all the work setting up the world and the premises and everything, then the rest just kind of falls out somehow.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm almost there, so hopefully once I get to that midway point, it'll just kind of start writing itself. It's like you said, it's setting it up. That can be the hardest part.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. But The Things We Bury was your last release?
Yes, that's the newest one. It just came out February. It actually came out Valentine's Day.
Oh, Valentine's Day, okay.
Yeah. So.
It's the kind of gift you give a loved one?
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny. Stephen Burke of obviously Nihilism Revised. He actually suggested that we release it on which I thought was kind of funny, because it's not. I mean, it's a love story in a sense, but it's not a happy one. So
it's the underbelly of love, right? It's like the price you pay for love, maybe.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a sick kind of joke. Just like, oh, let's do it on Valentine's Day. I'm like, perfect.
It kind of reminds me like I worked in the shop once in Glasgow. I'm from Glasgow in Scotland, and this like old couple would always come in together and just like look at all the clothes together. And then my manager said like, oh, I'm telling you, like when one of them dies, the other one will die soon afterwards. And like that was like a Glaswegian way of saying, wow, they're really in love, aren't they?
Wow.
Yeah. So I think like your novella, I'm trying to say, was like in the language of love that I'm very familiar with.
Well, I guess it's good that you understood it, but I don't know if that's good that you understood it, if you know what I mean.
I see your point, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, that particular book came from a lot of, last year was just not a good year for me at all. So it all came from all the stuff that was going on. And like at the beginning of last year, my relationship with a woman who I'd been with for like 8.5 years ended. So that was like the dumping off point for the book. And then 2 months later, my best friend's 4-year-old daughter passed. Oh. So yeah. So there was a lot of last year just was not good. So that really that's kind of like how I dealt with it, was writing that story. Yeah. So it has a lot to do with just loss in general. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like yeah. No, I mean, I relate to this character and this premise and everything, because then I think if you're enjoying life, you're lucky you haven't had to see just how chaotic it is, and how how
How
cruel it.
fucking
Yeah.
yeah. I was just gonna say how fucking cruel it can be.
Yeah. See, it would be cruel if it was deliberate, but it isn't even like there's any
That's a good point. Yeah,
recompense, you know?
yeah. That is a good point. It's just I don't even know what to say about that.
No, nobody
It's just,
does.
I mean, sometimes it's just you look at things and you're like, some people just get shitty hands dealt to them and shit happens, and like you said, it's not really intentional. It's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah.
It's, but yeah. So the whole, I mean, I'm sorry, I took it into a dark area.
I knew it was going there. I've actually got a question here. It says you've had not a good time lately. So
No, yeah. Last year was probably probably like the worst year I've ever had. It was just one thing after the next. It's like, had it been just like, I mean, it's bad enough when you're in a relationship with someone for a significant amount of time and it ends. That's bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then to have to deal with something like that, 2 months later, especially it involves a child, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, how much is, and some other things went on too that I won't go into, but it was just one thing after the next. But the thing that, I think the thing that saved me was the writing of that novella. So, because it was just like just the whole time, like everything that happened was like, okay, I just tried to focus on writing that. So it really kept me it kept me going. As opposed to just, some people, they don't have anything that keeps them focused. So
no, I can definitely understand that.
I was lucky in that respect. So plus I have I was diagnosed with depression when I was a teenager, so I deal with all that to begin with, negative thoughts and whatnot. So when stuff like that, when stuff like this happens, it's like, am I going to be able to do this? am I going to be able to deal with this and get up every morning? But here I am.
And what? Okay, so writing's getting you through. Is anything else getting you through?
Mostly the writing. My dog. I know that sounds like such a corny answer, but the woman that I had split from, we actually had just gotten a dog like a few months prior to us splitting. So yeah, him, and that's it. Actually, India. You talked to India.
Yeah.
Yeah, her and I have become really close. So she was a big help.
How did you both meet?
We met just through Facebook. We were just in the same kind of running in the same writing circle. And I couldn't even really tell you how we just started talking. It was, we struck up a conversation, and it's just, we found out we had a lot in common. So, but yeah, she helped me a lot. It was, it's always good to have someone to bitch and complain to. What kind of things do you have in common? Just like, a lot. Just our outlooks and on various topics, but just, yeah, the way we see things.
You're both poets?
Yeah, we both write poetry. Yep. Yeah, it was just like various topics, like everything down to we think the same when it comes to just stuff like religion. It's just like, it's bizarre sometimes when you meet someone that's like you're that in tune with. So, but she was a big help, just having someone to be able to talk to that kind of seemed to understand where I was coming from.
Yeah. No, I've always really appreciated India since the beginning. She's been a huge supporter of the podcast, and I've enjoyed reading her poetry. And
she's a great writer. I push her to write more because I don't think she writes enough. But
yeah, and I just appreciate how open she is as well.
Oh yeah. That's one of the things that I love about about her writing in particular is just like that openness that's so raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for me, I mean, I can't say that, I haven't read every female poet, but there's not many female poets that I've come across that are that open and raw with their writing. So
yeah. How about your own, like, how did you start writing? Did you start with poetry? How long have you been doing it for?
I've been doing it since I was a kid. I actually started writing poetry when I was really young, before I even started writing fiction. I used to write poems like I was like 8 or 9. My mother always tells the story. When she asked me, I was probably about 8 when she asked me what I wanted to do, and I told her I wanted to be a poet.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably didn't really know what a poet even meant. I just knew it had something to do with words. So I've been writing for a long time, but I didn't really start taking it serious until probably the last few years.
Did anything make you want to start taking it seriously?
Well, I mean, I think everyone that's creative always has a sort of like a dream to be able to do it to an extent, like, oh, I wish I could do this as a living, or yeah, I don't know, I can't think of any single moment, but it was just, I think it was just as I got older, it was just like I should just, if I like it enough, I should really just start taking it more serious. So I can't think back of any single moment that like sparked it, like, oh, I need to start taking it more seriously. I think I just arrived at it more like in a natural way.
How about your depression? Like, how long have you lived with it for?
I would say I was diagnosed when I was about 14, 15. I'm 38 now, so a bit. And yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like I'll go on medication or I'll start therapy, but then like a couple years later I'll stop going to therapy or I'll stop my medication. Which is partly my fault. So so yeah, there's always been ups and downs with it. So I'm glad you said lived with it, actually. I wanted to bring that up.
Right.
You said lived with depression, because one of the things that bothers me is when people suffer from it. That I don't know, it just bothers me when people say that. It's like we always want to play the victim kind of thing. So, because I prefer to say I live with it, not suffer from it.
Yeah.
So I heard you say that. So I don't know, just
interesting. I don't know if it was. Sorry.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
I don't know if it was deliberate on my part. I just happened to say that, but the way that you phrase it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. No. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, everyone with a mental problem. I mean, we all play the victim at some point. You know.
Yeah.
Some more than others. And I spent years just playing the victim, like, woe is me, like, oh, I can't do this because of that, or I can't do that because of this, and you make excuse after excuse, and it's just, I got to a point, I mean, really, relatively just recently, I got to a point where I was like, I need to stop doing this because it's not doing me any good, I mean, it's probably one of the reasons that my 8.5-year relationship failed, and you got to stand up and take responsibility, and but there's just so many people that just aren't willing to take the responsibility. And that's where I am at, really, like, in my personal life right now. So yeah, it's just, at some point you have to take responsibility. You can't just play the victim all the
time. Yeah, but I think that as long as you're not like adding to the cruelty of depression, right? Because it's the depression itself which is keeping itself alive by telling you to act in a certain way.
Oh, of course.
So it's not like it's entirely your response, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's really it's it's like a balancing act. It's like, like, because you wanna you wanna say like, but I mean that's the thing though. You want to say this isn't me. It's the depression, but at the same time, it's up to you to like beat it into submission in a sense. And it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, like I'm doing a lot better than I have been, but it's still like, I woke up this morning even and was kind of feeling in a bad mental space, and I actually thought of you, and I was like, oh man, I hope by the time we do this call, I'm going to be a little bit better at least. And I kind of talked myself into a better space.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, and that's the thing. I could easily. Well, that was part of it too. I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like, yeah, we'll do it. And then when it comes down to it, I'm like, no. I don't want to be that flaky. But I could easily let it consume me.
I would have understood.
No,
I wouldn't have been bothered.
You know what it is, and it wasn't even that. I didn't think that you wouldn't, or I mean, I didn't know. Obviously, I don't really know you, so. But it's just one of those things from a personal standpoint. It's like I don't want to do that, but I'm glad I got. I'm glad I talked myself into it because I could easily let it consume me, and then it would have been a whole other thing. It wouldn't have just been not taking the call or doing the interview with you, or the whole day would have been shot.
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, okay. So it was like a reason to cling on to get out of the mood or whatever. But how are you doing? Like generally, do you feel like you're recovering from grief?
So I mean, yeah, of course, still, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing better?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a lot better. A lot better than I was last year. That's for sure. I mean, there was moments there where I didn't even think I was gonna, like, seriously. I just, not to get over dramatic, but I seriously didn't think I was gonna make it. I was like, close to taking that, the big leap, as they say, because it's, your whole, especially. I mean, it sounds like ridiculous, but it's especially in regards to my friend's daughter who passed. It was just like your whole world is flipped upside down.
Yeah.
It's like, how the hell? What do you even do with that information? When I got the call, it was like, you don't even know where to put it. So, and then coupled on top of the other stuff with the relationship, it's just, your whole world is just literally, my whole world felt like it was literally just flipped upside down in a matter of months.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that these expressions are so common, is because, or when you say them about your own life, you're like, oh, I get why people say that now. Yeah, I feel that.
It's like, yeah. And then, like you say, it happens to you, and you're like, oh. Yeah. I get it now.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, I didn't have the best 2019 myself. But you're also just like, wait, so this happens to people? Why do this? Why do life? Like, what?
No, that's exactly what it comes down to, especially when you're put in that like situation. You're like, what? Why am I here? What is going on?
Yeah.
And like I said, like we said before, I mean, and then when you add an already existing like mental problem to it, it's like,
yeah. But these things always seem to come at once as well. I don't know why.
They what? I'm sorry.
Like all these tragic events, they always come at once. I don't really know why. Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's like, how do I navigate this now? That was my big concern when after everything was said and done. I was like, how do I navigate through this?
But yeah, like you say, it's just like these things happen to you, or you receive these burdens, and then it's like, right, okay, I need to recover from it. How do I do that? Well, don't think of yourself as a victim, like you say is a great idea, and you're like, really, I'm not allowed to think of myself as a victim in this scenario. That's a bit much.
I know. Well, that's the thing. When stuff like that happens, it's like, of course, take a moment and say,
Yeah.
this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Feel bad for yourself,
mm-hmm.
but then you have to pick yourself up. You can't, because if you just continue that train of thought, then it's over.
Yeah.
You're just gonna sit around and think like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for me, I mean, I think for a lot of creative people, lucky for us, is we at least have that to say, well, you know what, I'm going to use it to create something at least.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that writing is like a fundamentally hopeful thing to do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's and I was speaking to a friend about this. It's like, on one hand, you don't want these burdens. You don't want to have to deal with this kind of stuff in life.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, especially for creative people, it's like my new book didn't exist had none of that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but I'm really proud of this book. I think it's like the best thing I've written so far.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to look at it like that as well. It's like, well, that wouldn't exist if none of this happened. Not saying that, I'm glad it happened.
No.
But since it did, I might as well use it to try and,
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I suppose you have to create a meaning. That's the difficult thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for me, that's what it was. It was the book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm not glad that this stuff happened, but I mean, since it did, and it was all out of my control,
mm-hmm.
I might as well have used it to my advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of Amanda Knox?
What about Amanda Knox?
She's like, you've heard the name before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So she's like I guess she's better known in America than here. But I listened to a podcast interview with her, and I think now she's helping people who have been wrongfully accused of crimes in the same way that she was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she was saying, I like to think that maybe I would do this even if if I hadn't been wrongfully accused. But I also kind of thought, well, why would you like to think that? Why wouldn't you instead like to think that you're transforming what happened to you into a meaningful thing you wouldn't have otherwise done,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to,
mm-hmm.
for me. I think that's for a lot of people, though. I mean, even you bring up her as a perfect example, even outside of being creative. Mm-hmm. People, I mean, it's like when drug addicts reform themselves and then become drug counselors, or,
mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I'm going to use this experience to help others, or, something good come out of it.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go for it.
No, go on.
Your character in this book is described as misanthropic.
Mm-hmm.
Would you? I suppose you probably were last year. Do you still describe yourself as that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like you kind of struggle with it. It's like, I don't want to be this way,
mm-hmm.
but sometimes it's just like there's really no other way to be.
Yeah. I think especially like if you've dealt with depression and then these tragic things happen to you or around you, you have a tendency to feel that there's something tragic about you as a person. Maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had long discussions about that with just like friends and even therapists. It's
mm-hmm.
like, what the hell is it about me that attracts either unfortunate circumstance or other people that are just damaged? It's like sometimes I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but where you feel like you're like, you feel like you're a flame, and you're just like attracting all these moths.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I used to think I was a crazy magnet as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I still think that in
I
a
think
sense.
it's I mean, you seem like quite an open person as well. Do you think you are?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Um,
I
that could be why though,
no, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
where yeah, other people see that in you or myself, and they're like, oh, this person is not very, they're not overly critical or judgmental about people's problems. So like, I'm going to open myself up to this person.
Yeah, I'm going to like steal this person's essence
Yeah.
for myself.
So that, I mean, that's a good point though,
Yeah.
because you tend to kind of like, I mean, especially if you meet someone who's very open and it's like, oh wait, I find this comfortable. I can be myself as well.
Yeah.
But then when people, more often than not, you'll find out that most people have issues. Some people are better at hiding it, but
Oh, absolutely. I think that like when it comes to my own dealing with what happened in my own last year, I now kind of think, okay, either something like this has happened to a person I've just met, or it's going to happen in their future. In which case, I want to be nothing but compassionate to them because this person does not need me adding to their shit like in the slightest, you know.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It was a bad year for you last year as well?
Yeah. So I mean, my dad passed away at the end of 2018.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. But the thing is, like, my mother had also passed away like 8 years ago, so I was 29 with no parents. And I just was like, what? Because like having already lost a parent, I just kind of felt like, well, all right, that was unfortunate. It happened when I was quite young. What are the chances of it happening again, though? I'm glad I got like my one big misfortune out the way. So
Yeah.
when it happened again, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a bit much,
Yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, exactly. But it's and I also kind of thought, well, okay, I know what it's like to lose a parent at least, but no, like that doesn't even help either. It was just
No, of course not. Yeah,
it was differently
you might
painful.
hope that it might, like, oh, maybe I'll be able to deal with it better this time.
Yeah, at the very least, I must have built up some resilience. Like I must have learned some sort of coping mechanism or something. But it was just totally different. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm no closer to making meaning out of it than anyone, but I'm on the other side of it at least. I don't know.
I mean, it's I think last year was not a good year for most people. It seems
we weren't alone. No.
It was like I looked around. And I mean, even just other people that I like know, other friends and stuff. It was just like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah, just a bad time. But I don't know.
And this year's not any better, apparently.
Well, yeah, it depends. I mean, yeah, I mean, being stuck inside and everything that's happening in the world, but I just kind of feel like, God, that pales in comparison to how to what's really going on.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, especially about about my own stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The being stuck inside stuff, I guess, isn't so bad, but
yeah,
the world does seem to be going a little crazy.
It just, I mean, what do you think about this? Because like you've made efforts today even to like reframe the way you think and to try and get yourself out of a bad mood, and it worked, right? It doesn't maybe it doesn't always work, but there's a certain amount of perspective that you can just adjust by choosing to adjust in your own head, right?
Yeah.
This is a random question. Like, how much of what's going on in our heads do you think we can just adjust by changing our perception? Is it like half of our thoughts? Is that a bigger percentage?
That's a good question. I mean, I would probably say at least half, if not more.
Yeah.
Because even if you're more, even if it's like a chemical imbalance that's causing you to think the way you think or to have feelings about yourself, say, you can alter that. there's ways to to fight that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing about it is it's an everyday battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you're just gonna like fight it off one day and then it's just gonna be gone forever. It's a constant, like you said about coping mechanisms. It's like you constantly have to keep in mind that, okay, this is what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself can become very tiring for a lot of people, which is another problem, So it's just like, I mean, change isn't easy because, I mean, the simple fact is, if it was, everyone would just do it and everything would be all right.
Yeah.
But it's not. I know so many people that they'll try, and then it's like, oh wait, I got to do this all the time. No, I don't want to do that. And then just go right back to doing their thing,
Yeah, like look at the alternatives, mate. Like, it's
So, but I mean, it's a constant work, and I understand that. It does get tiring because it's not like, I mean, there's other things you have to do in life. You have to get up, you have to work, you have to, some people have to take care of children. It's a big mess.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's funny to think you ever looked at adults and were like, oh, like one day I'll understand all this.
Right.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah, when you're younger, you're like, okay, it'll make sense. No, it makes even less sense.
No, absolutely. You're like, wait, nobody even knows if this is worth doing? Why? What? That seems kind of immoral.
Yeah. It's like I used to say that you have those negative, like I'm one of those guys. I'm like, I'm gonna go fucking hang myself if things get to be too intense, and I don't necessarily mean it. It's just something that it's habit at this point, But I've had people say, like, I've never thought about doing that. And I'm like, and to me, that's strange. And then I'm like thinking, am I like the only one that thinks like that, or? It makes me laugh.
For me, I was really happy. Do you know Melissa Broder? So Sad Today on Twitter.
No, I don't.
Oh my god, I loved discovering her. It's So Sad Today on Twitter. Like, she does all these like funny. She makes jokes of like depressed thoughts that everyone has. And she said, like, when she was really young, she just obsessed over the fact that the Holocaust had happened, and she was like, "Why is everyone okay with the fact that this happened? That humans once did this to one another?" And like nobody could explain why they were okay with it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's like,
but yeah. Well, what do you? Yeah, that is a good question. Well, yeah, what are you supposed to do? Dwell on it all day?
Yeah, could it happen again? Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay. I'll go get some milk then.
I think that's one of that's one of the saddest thoughts I have sometimes, is like where you're like, people like you hear about a mass shooting, and you're just like, oh, that sucks. And then you just go about, you're like, oh, I'm just going to go butter my toast.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that in itself is kind of like a sad thought. The fact that like these people died, and you're like, for a moment, you're like, yeah, that's horrible for their families. Okay, but I got to go live my life.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you just brought up with the Holocaust. Like, why is everyone okay with the fact that this is a thing?
Totally.
But what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah. Nobody knows. But that's the thing about depression, right? Is when your mind gets caught on these thoughts, your mind is getting caught on thoughts that other people's minds are not getting caught on, and there's no reason that that's happening other than like the chemical imbalance, and other people are just fortunate
that they don't have to.
Yeah.
They don't have to experience that. I mean, and especially for depressed people, it's just so easy to fall into that negative thinking. It's like the smallest little thing can spark a negative thought, and then it can just spiral. And before you know it, you're like, I don't want to like get off the couch or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I don't want to eat whatever it is that,
Yeah.
and then it's harder. It's just so easy to fall into it, but so much harder to crawl out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, it's like since I have been this last year, I worked on myself and getting myself to a place where I don't easily fall for my own bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That I just I try to keep going and keep working at it, because looking back now, it's like all those years, like even like I think about now, like all those years I spent like just like depressed and just like in a hole, and all the things I could have gotten done, whether it just be like creatively or personal, just like working on personal relationships, all the time that was wasted because I was just so like comfortable in my own misery.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But again, like as somebody who's also been depressed for ages, like the depression was making you comfy in it. Like it was.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's a thing where it's like you don't want to be there, but it's what you know.
Well, it's like you say. It's so like even if it's the problem with being in like a dire mental places is that they're so familiar. Or like your mind is convincing you that it's okay that you don't do anything about it. So like you say, when you're going to tell some people like, I think I'm going to go hang myself, they're like, I've never had that thought, that would not come out my mouth. And you're like, really? Because it came out of mine like 5 times today.
Yeah, right. 5 times this morning.
Yeah. So
yeah, go on.
So no, I mean like I think obviously I guess I'm projecting my advice that has been my advice to myself is to try and just be kinder to yourself. That this thing puts voices in your head that sound like you, that keep itself alive. And one of the ways it does that is by convincing you not to get help, and by convincing you that, and by rationalizing all the ways that the world is a piece of shit, and there are many great reasons if you want to look at it that way. So I don't know. I think that for me, it's just really essential to be kind to myself and go, well, I totally agree that like time spent depressed is a waste of time. It feels like it's going to be. It feels like you're involved in some great insight that other people don't have, but it's not. It's just a fucking waste of time.
It really is. And like after realizing that, like this last like year and a half or so, it's like all that time is like, yeah, like you say, it's wasted time, and all the things I could have gotten done, and now it's like, but I try not to dwell on that too much, because then I start to, I want to kick myself in the ass too long.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's not easy. That's basically what it comes down to.
No, absolutely. But I guess you just have one of those brains that's against you, though. You just kind of.
No, I mean, yeah.
Whoops,
that's really what it is. But it's good to, I mean, if you can like realize that, then most people would be all right.
Yeah, for sure. Like I started taking medication at the end of last year because like basically, I mean, as you know, like last year for you was not depression so much as grief, it's like there was a rational reason for it in one respect. And for me it was the same, but then when it got to the end of the year, it just wouldn't go away, and I was like, right, I've had enough of this. I don't feel that this is like useful sadness anymore. So I started taking medication, and then I was like, wait, is this as sad as other people get? Like this? Because I'd like, it's like installed a floor in my brain where I couldn't get sadder than that. And I was like, this is fine. Why is anyone complaining about anything? Like, is this as low as it goes for other people? Like, I couldn't even get this high before.
That's exactly how I felt, because I had gotten, like you, I had actually gotten back on medication because I had, like I said, I've been on off medication for years, and last year I finally got back on it after everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you put it is perfect. It's like, wait, this is like, I can actually deal with stuff.
Yeah.
Why haven't I been doing this whole time? Oh, because I'm an idiot.
No, it's because, well, for me, it was just like, okay, I know I'm very sad. I know I can't talk. I know I can't get out of bed. And I know that people would like me to do things. Don't worry, I deserve it, you know? Like, why? I don't know. You just do. Don't seek help for this. This is like your penance for something.
Exactly. I mean, it goes back to like, I mean, in the new book, is like the main character is very much like that. He's sort of carrying all those burdens and saying, well, he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's a line in the book that's basically that says that word for word. It's like, this happened because something I did, you know. Surely he can't think of what it could have been, but it must be something I did, 20 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
No, go on.
For me, it was that like the constant rumination on all the stupid things that you've done. But then when I started taking the medication and I was able to think about other things, I was like, well, how often do I look at my past and all the stupid things people have said to me? Because it's many more. Not only that, like, where's my award for not saying all the things I don't say? Because that's a much bigger list.
For all the times I've opened my mouth, they don't realize how many times I haven't opened my mouth.
Exactly, you don't get an award for that. Like you don't. Yeah. You just get to cringe for all the times it goes wrong, but it's far fewer, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, God, people said so much stupid shit to me as well. I feel like I did a reasonably good job. Like at my dad's memorial, more than one person came up to me and they were like, "Oh, so your dad like passed away of a heart attack." It's funny because like I need to get my heart checked soon, and I was like, "Was this like a nice reminder for you? Like, why are you saying that to me? What is wrong with you?" Like
that is pretty weird thing to say.
I was like, must get milk. Leo's dad died. What? Like what? It was so strange. Like my dad he worked in like the London advertising world, so it's just enormously narcissistic. So these men were just all talking about themselves all the time, and I was like, okay, well, I want to die, but it was nice meeting you, I guess. You weirdo. I mean, it was kind of like, I think in the end, I was just like, at least you know. It just felt like I met a lot of people who were older than me and dealing with it worse, and that was kind of nice. That was reassuring in a way. I was just like, well, at least I'm never going to say that to anybody. At least I'm not that guy. At least my dad wasn't that guy, because then who would I be? You know, Jesus. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's one of the things. Social media has me thinking like that sometimes. It's like people literally post everything about their lives, and I'm like, well, at least I'm not that person.
Yeah.
All the times I thought about, I mean, I know it's an awful thought to have sometimes, but it's like all the times I thought about hanging myself, I was like, how is this person not hanging themselves? It's amazing. Like, I actually have my shit together.
When the day comes and they're passing the nooses around, I shouldn't be at the front of that line, at least, you know.
And Indy says that to me all the time. Like, she'll be like, "Oh, I just saw something." And it's like, I never thought I would say this, but I have my shit together. Like, look at this person.
Yeah, well, I mean, if people are putting stuff out onto the internet, you're allowed to do whatever you want with it, really. And if you're reassuring yourself that you're not as dumb as them, that's
I'm fine. In that opinion too. I mean, yeah, it's like if you're posting on social media, you know, you know, be prepared to be lambasted.
I don't know how I've managed to preserve this, but I just imagine I'm posting to like an entire audience of people who like love me and want the best for me. So I'm just like, hey, this super exciting thing happened to me.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people like think that, and you're like, wait, no, that's not it.
What? It's not it, but it's still the way I like to act. I don't know why. It just seems like.
Oh no! I mean, if that's what helps you, then yeah.
I don't know, but then sorry.
Oh no, go
on. I think when you act that way, people are like, "Wow, this guy seems super naive. It seems like he doesn't understand that, like, you know, the world doesn't work the way he seems to be acting that it does." And it's like, Jesus, I know, but I feel like I just don't know if I could like these things that happen to me in life. They make me more sincere, than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel. You're also a photographer.
Yes.
Do you keep up with photography?
Oh yeah, I actually produce more photography than I do anything else creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I think photography is just so much. There's a sort of playfulness to it that's just so easy for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I could take, like especially with like when you write. I mean, and you know this because you're a writer yourself. It's like there's a lot of work that goes into it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can only do it at certain times. It's like, but with photography for me, it's just like you take your camera anywhere, and which I do. I carry it all the time. So, but there's a lot more work that goes into writing.
What kind of
a lot more thought too. Whereas like I can just like take my camera out and I can just fire off shot, one after the next, and then go home and go through. You can take 150 photos in a day, and you probably have at least one or two that are decent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas writing takes a little bit more time. You can sit there at a computer and stare at the screen for 3 hours and get 50 words written.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm always choosing stuff. I mean, I don't even know why I go back to writing, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because sometimes I get so aggravated with it. Mm-hmm. It's like, why am I doing this? It's like, why does it have to be so hard? But I don't know. There's something about it that I always just return.
What is it that you find hard about it? Do you find that it isn't rewarding enough?
No, I mean the thing about writing is it's very rewarding if you get it finished.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, and it also depends on what you're writing. Like for me, like lately, it's just like I'm writing these things that are sort of like story driven and plot driven. Like plotting things is awful. It's just an awful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, you bang your head against the wall. That's for me. That's basically what it is. It's plotting stuff that, if I could just sit down and write stream of consciousness, that'd be fine. But that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah. It's like playing tennis with the net down or something, they say.
Yeah. It's just so and it's different for everyone too. So I'm only obviously speaking for myself. I can't say. I don't know how is it for you when you write?
Yeah, it can be the same. Like I think that sometimes stories work and sometimes they don't, and you don't know why. I feel like I'm just thankful that I know when it isn't working and when it is, because then at least I don't send stuff out that is unfinished. But I don't understand why some things get finished easily and some things don't.
Yeah. I don't think there's no answer really to that.
No, and I think that I don't trust anyone who does have answers. I mean, like in life in general, but also from having written so long, just there aren't any answers to it, and there aren't any rules, and that's the great thing. Is it's like, all right, there aren't any answers, there aren't any rules. What do you want to write? It's exactly. Like anything you want, really,
Which is one of the best things about writing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, wait, I can do anything I want right now.
And like you should, because like there's so many writers. What's something only you can do? Well, start with something that really interests you, for one, because that will get conveyed in the language for sure. I think nobody wants to read something that was written begrudgingly. And
no, of course not.
And nobody's asking you to write, so don't write anything begrudgingly either.
Exactly. And I think you could tell too.
Yeah.
When something was written under those conditions. I mean, for me, I think I could tell anyway. I'm also one of those writers where it's like, if I don't have anything personal to say, I find it hard to write.
Yeah.
Some people are really good at like just making things up. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, writing obviously is making things up, but if they're like, some writers it's easier for them to come from a place that's not so personal. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to write a fantasy, or I'm going to write whatever it is, and they just make these things up as they go, and they're good storytellers.
Yeah.
But I think there's a group of writers who really they dig deep from a personal level, and they want to implement those things into the story. So, and that's the kind of writer I am. Like, if I don't have anything personal to say, but I don't want to be that writer either. That's like, well, I don't have anything to say, so I'm not going to write. Because then you're not writing for however long. When I was like, I'm waiting for a tragedy to happen so I have something to say.
Yeah,
it's not really a good way to go about it either. So there should be a balance, which I'm actually kind of finding with this new one I'm working on. Because I'm still obviously working through stuff from last year.
Yeah.
So there's some leftover stuff, but I'm finding it a little bit easier. Maybe just like, well, I'm just gonna roll with it and see where it goes.
My theory is that good stories are things that you discover rather than things that you already know, and I think that's what should motivate people to sit down and write, and that's the work you do, is discovering the story, and then you present it to people like, hey, look what I discovered. It's not look what I already knew. It's not look at this sad thing that happened to me. It's like, look what I found through the creative process.
Well, that's interesting.
That's that really helps me, and that's why I feel like a lot of people, there's so many ways to hide from trying to write well, right? And I think one way that people do it is by just throwing a bunch of references at you, like, oh my god, I've read this, I've read that, and I understand how this writer did this technique and how that writer uses words that way. And it's like, well, that might help, but you're going to have to just go and do things your own way. And when you do that, I don't know how much it helps that you understand how well somebody else did it. I don't see a strong overlap between like having read a lot and writing ability.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think a lot of people, especially when they first start writing, the struggle is finding your voice, as opposed to emulating everything you've read before.
Yeah.
Which, I think a lot of writers, like especially first-time writers, struggle with that. They're like, well, there was this thing, I saw this post on Facebook actually not too long ago, probably like a week ago, and it was like, people were like, it was someone had made a post about a writing workshop that they were a part of, and they were talking about how some of the people in there were like, well, what should I write? Should I write a horror story? Should I write this? And it's like, that's not like, you should already know. You shouldn't be in a writing workshop to find out what you should be writing.
Yeah.
That to me is a weird way to approach writing.
Well, another one you get is like when non-writers are like, okay, why do people write? Sell me writing. And you're like, I can't explain why people do this.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. That seems to me like it's more about people they just want the credit of being a writer, or the look, or whatever, however you want to put it. Like, oh, I'm a writer, but it's like, you should, the story kind of should, when you sit down, like you were saying before, it's like you write to kind of discover things.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember, like, I'm not like Stephen King, for example. I'm not like a huge Stephen King fan, but you can't deny the things he's done, obviously. Someone asked him why he wrote horror, and he's like, why do you assume that I chose to write horror? That's just what comes out.
Yeah. And
that's like a perfect thing for me as a writer. It's like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. It's like, you have these writers that are like, well, should I write horror? Should I write? What kind of question is that? It's strange to me.
Yeah.
It's like, just sit down and let your mind go.
I was talking on the, you've been on the Bazong podcast as well, right? I think.
Been on what?
Bazong, the podcast. Frank Edler's podcast.
Oh no, I've never been on that actually.
Well, you haven't. If you got in touch with him, he'd happily chat to you.
I mean, I know you're talking Frank. Yeah, I've met Frank.
Oh, okay.
At a convention.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I've never been on his podcast.
I was talking to him recently, and what was? Now that I brought that up, I've forgotten what my point was. Oh no, that's what it was. Yeah. So I was talking about how I'd started self-publishing, but I was like, right, how do you do the traditional route? Because I kind of thought there's no easy way to get an audience, but I'm not good at marketing at all. I'm not good at selling myself unless somebody else wants to back up like what I've written. So then I started.
I'm the same way.
So I started looking into like these magazines, and they're like, right, okay, read these magazines, and then try and write the kind of story that they would like. And I was like, I don't think I know how to do that. I don't think I can do that. How do I write something somebody else would like? I don't know how to do that. So
no, yeah, I can't do that either.
I guess I'm fucked.
It's like, but I mean, it's weird. It's like it sucks sometimes because it's like anthologies. Like I'm not a big fan of them, and like I never try for them because there's always a theme. It's like we want stories, like whether it's like a horror anthology, like we want stories about vampires or whatever it may be. It's like, well, I don't have a story to tell about that particular thing. So for me, it's kind of like you were saying, it's like, I don't know how to write. I don't know how to write things that other people want. I can only write what I want, so it makes it hard in a sense to like you're saying, even with the marketing thing. Anthologies are a great way to get your name out there. But I'm not really good at like taking someone else's suggestion. Like, we need a story about, whatever topic it may be. I kind of have to arrive at it naturally.
Yeah. But also, like, people think that what they want is like what looks traditionally good, right? I mean, like I've got this filmmaking club that I started like last year, and a few people are very kind of obsessed with like, okay, you buy this camera, you put this lens on it, and you set it up pointing this way at a person's face, and that person is telling this kind of a story, and then like that's how you do it. And it's like, no, I think I know that's what everything looks like, but that doesn't mean that that's what you should do,
Yeah.
And the success of that film, Uncut Gems, have you seen it?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
It is on my list. It's
not. I love that. What was the last film? Good Time was the last film by the Safdie brothers. And Uncut Gems is their latest one. I wasn't a big fan of Uncut Gems, but it seems to have gotten so popular and getting so many people talking about it because it's unlike anything else that's available at the moment. Like, the colors are different, the way the camera's used is different, the dialogue, the setting, the story, like everything about it is so different, and that's why people go towards it. Now, it's complicated, right? Do you copy what other people are doing so that people acknowledge that you obviously understand what constitutes traditional like technical skill, or do you just do your own thing until people see that
notice
no one else is doing that?
It.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more of the opinion that you just do what you want to do and hopefully someone notices it.
Yeah.
And sometimes what you naturally are doing is already in tune with what others are doing, and sometimes you're totally like left field. Like, I mean, there's not like Burroughs. I mean, there's no one like him before or after.
Yeah.
Burroughs is in his own category.
Yeah.
And there's definitely people that have like tried to do or kind of came close to doing what he's doing, but yeah, it's a tough question. I mean, for me, I think it's just do what you want to do or what comes natural to you and just hope that someone notices. I mean, it's like with the Things We Bury, it's like it's not particularly original in its setup or delivery. It's just a classic kind of crime noir, But it was just a story that I arrived at naturally. So that's the story I told. And I don't think, I don't know where the hell I'm going with that now.
That's okay. It's losing the plot, so that's what we do.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
for me, like especially with writing, it's like the plot, especially the last book. It's like it's not like I said, it's not really original, but it's a story that I had to tell.
well, it's like I would say like it borrows from the noir genre in terms of in some elements, but it's that framework that you borrow in order to, you know, demonstrate your own like observations as well.
I mean, and that's essentially what the book really was. It was like I've always loved noir and I always loved crime, but I never told a story in that way before. But everything that I was dealing with, it seemed perfect for a crime story, a noir story, and it just worked for me. It worked, so that's what I delivered. And the same thing with the new one is actually it's essentially another crime story.
So you sticking with crime?
I think so. I think I'm like it might be where I'm going to be at for a bit.
Cool. And how about sorry?
No. I was just saying I feel comfortable. I never wrote one before, but it's just like with the last book, it just seems it seems like a place I should be. So I'll stick with it for. I'm not saying that that's all I'm going to write because I have other things, other genres and stuff that I love that I would love to tap into. But right now, it's where I'll be.
How about Nihilism Revised? You staying with them?
I'm probably gonna work with Steven again. He was like, I mean, he was just really easy to work with, so it wasn't. I mean, I guess there's not really much of there's no reason to go else. I mean, but I mean, it is nice because before him, I published with. I mean, I'm still friends with. I don't know if you know Jordan Crawl.
I heard of him. Yeah.
Okay. He runs Dynatox Ministries, who he's published all my work before the new one. So, but it's always nice to like branch out. At the time, I was, I'm gonna try for somewhere else, because you don't want to like. It's good just to have yourself out there under different publishing companies, if possible. Plus, Jordan and I become really good friends. So it's like one of those things where like, well, now he's just publishing you because you guys are friends. And you don't want to deal with that either. It's like, I could hear people say, I mean, not that it matters, but it's like, oh, well, what you wrote wasn't really that good, but, you're really good friends with the owner of the publishing company. So I thought it would have been, and it was something I just wanted to do for myself too, for that reason. Yeah. It was like, will someone else like this other than, because after a while it's like, do you trust the opinion of someone that you're now really close with?
Yeah, I see your point.
Or is he just, I spend time with him. I spend time with him and his family. It's like, at some point, it's like, is he just publishing me because we're really good friends, or is it because my writing's still good?
Well, the thing is, like, you see indie publishers, like, publishing people that they then become friends with and then continue to publish them. And, like, of course you do, because people can be great writers and complete dicks. So, like, why do you want to work with them? Why would, like, somebody being a tried and tested, cool, normal person is of immense value,
No, I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. But, but I think, I mean, with things we buried, it went really well, and I mean, me and Steven are pretty much on the same page. So, I mean, I told him that I definitely would want to work with him again. And, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a couple other publishing companies that I definitely have like my eye on in terms of like submitting stuff to. But, I try not to think too far ahead about that stuff. It's like you gotta write the book first or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of having done this so long, and I kind of think like, hey, writing is really cool because you can express yourself and get your ideas out in a way that communicates to other people. Also, there are these things called publishing, and sometimes people make money from it. It's like totally to one
exactly.
side. um,
Money making seems to be for other people. I definitely don't make that much.
Yeah, I think you either just get blessed or not. Like I say, like, are you lucky enough to write stuff that's marketable, or are you not? Because I write stuff that's like so intertwined with horrible material that like I couldn't cut it out and still be telling the same story.
Sure, yeah.
So I guess I'm not lucky.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just staying true to yourself. I mean, for me, that's really what it comes down to.
Right, definitely. I think that people can tell that I think people can tell that it's like it has to be there. The material has to be there, and that I'm like trying to have a lot of fun and be like, do you feel like this sentence? So
I mean, the thing I like about like Nihilism Revised, for example, the reason I decided I wanted to is like I knew Burke through Facebook, and I just like I could have like went with another publishing company that definitely pushed like their bread and butter was like say crime fiction. Like I could have went strictly with a crime or noir fiction kind of publishing company, but I also I respect what he does, and I like the fact that he just publishes all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that because Dynatox is the same way. Jordan runs, I mean, that's basically the way he runs Dynatox.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Burke even had said at some point that Dynatox was basically the model for Nihilism Revised. Because like Burke, Jordan loves all sorts of. He loves science fiction. He loves horror. He loves crime fiction. He loves poetry. So it's like I just want to publish good stuff no matter what genre it is. And that was the other thing that I wanted to go with because it was still kind of familiar because it was very similar to Dynatox, but also it was just outside my comfort zone.
Yeah,
which is a good thing to do. Which seems to be sort of a motif in my life right now, like trying to push myself to do things that I wouldn't normally do, like just even like thinking, like I push myself to think differently. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try for this, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I totally agree. I think that I feel like through Nihilism Revised, I found my own people, and like I love the stuff that they publish, and I read it like all the time. And I've been reading a long time, and I can go buy books from big publishers if I want, but you don't get stuff that looks like that elsewhere, and that's what I want. And it's like it's the same thing that I do with this podcast or with my own writing. Is people will be like, okay, what's your podcast about? What kind of people do you talk to? It's like, all right, why should I make those decisions? Well, because if you do that, and then you can like market it to people, and then you'll get a bigger audience. All right. If I'm willing not to have a big audience, do I get to talk to anyone I want? Yeah, but you're not going to get a big audience. Fine, but that's like I'm okay to do that and accept the consequences. It's the same with the same with Nihilism Revised. It's like if you don't publish a specific type of fiction, people won't really know what you're doing, and you're like, right, but I can still do that and have people not know what I'm doing. Right, that's still an option. If I feel like doing that.
It sounds like the better option to me.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's
being like you're saying, like being able to talk to whoever you want. I mean, I think that's a better payoff.
Yeah, I think that like if you're looking for like a big audience and money, like writing was never a great way to do that, and even less so now. So,
well, that's the thing about being creative. It's like if you're in it for like for a job, it's like, well, then no, don't do that.
Well, the thing for me, like, because I think as you saw as well, like I have a book out now, like I can't even really like talk about the things that are in it outside of that book to people. Yeah. So when was I ever going to get those thoughts out, if not writing them and like when was I ever going to get to express that to other people? Because I can't talk to people about it. I can't even, like, I've been on podcasts and I'll be on them again where I talk about the book. I still can't say things that are in it, you know?
No, yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fuck. I'm losing my thoughts again. Jesus. Sorry.
So we've been talking a long time. We'd come to the end anyway. I was just enjoying myself chatting to you, so yeah. But yeah,
it definitely wasn't as bad as I thought. I get anxious about shit. So I mean, that's just part of the anxiety and depression. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. But that's the thing about being creative as well, or like why people avoid writing, because they're like, wait, I don't know what I'm going to write. Why? Like, I don't have any thoughts. It's a bit like if somebody says, I don't know if this will make sense. If somebody says, like, list every word that you know, you couldn't do it, but you still know that you've got like 10,000 plus words to play with in your head, right? It kind of feels like, why am I going to say anything? I don't know any words. Nothing's ever happened to me, you know? It just feels that way, you know?
Yeah, it does sometimes.
Yeah. The Things We Bury is out now with Nihilism Revised. I highly recommend it. I hope you will check it out. Thanks as always for listening. If you want to get in touch with me about anything related to the show, you can always do so using losingtheplotpodcast-at-gmail-dot-com, and I look forward to hearing from you. But that's all for me for this episode, so until next time.